welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, I'm going to be reviewing a brand new release here of, actually, technically this isn't out yet from when I'm going to post this. This comes out on April 29th, but this is the second of 3 Clint Eastwood films that were very graciously sent to me by Warner Brothers Home Entertainment and SDS Studio Distribution Services. So big thanks to Warner Brothers and SDS for sending this out. This movie is a big favorite of mine, even more so than Pale Rider, the last Eastwood film that I reviewed. I kind of grew up with this movie. I remember seeing this on TV a lot when I was a kid. Of course, on television it was pretty, I don't want to say it was heavily edited, but there was a good amount of stuff that was cut down in terms of violence and everything. And I was actually surprised many years later to find out this is a PG-rated movie, because it does get pretty violent and brutal at times, but it's a great story of a very different character, and I love this film. It's one of the all-time best Westerns, in my opinion, like one of the top 5. And that movie is, of course, The Outlaw Josey Wales. This here is kind of a masterpiece, and even though it's a little over 2 hours long, this movie has incredible pacing. The cinematography on this is absolutely incredible. Bruce Surtees, again, working with Eastwood, and this is a much brighter film and a much more vivid film in terms of color palette than it is from Pale Rider. Clint is really at his best in this film, and his direction in this is outstanding. I love the way he shot this movie. I love the landscape shots. The action is just so well done and just so well framed all throughout the film. And it's actually a pretty funny movie. Like, this actually is as dark as it gets, and some of the subject matter as brutal as it is. It's actually a really, really funny movie at times. Today, I'm going to be reviewing this all-new 4K transfer here. Going to be talking about the picture quality, the audio quality, and the special features, because this has got a lot of good stuff on it. So as I always like to do ahead of a review of something that was sent to me, I always like to mention the fact that I am not beholden to the studio that sends me a product to give it a good review. I'm not getting paid monetarily in any way, shape, or form to review these products. I'm just mentioning them. As long as I do a video about them, that's all they care about. What I say in the video, they don't care. My opinion is nothing to them. The Warner Brothers is going to go on whether or not I give this a good or bad review. I'm here to talk honestly about the item itself. And, it's my opinion. Yours may differ, and that's totally fine. On the channel, I do a lot of reviews of physical media, mainly 4Ks, some Blu-rays every now and then. I talk a lot about movies and film. If you're a big fan of physical media, I highly suggest that you subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot to me. And my channel has been growing fairly well recently. So I want to thank you if you have hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, do it now, because there's a lot more reviews where this came from. But to jump right into the review here, we're going to talk about the picture quality of Outlaw Josey Wales. First and foremost, I didn't really mention it in my Pale Rider review, but I did a little research after watching Pale Rider, and I found out that there's a possibility that, even though Warner Brothers didn't really mention this in the press release or anything they sent me, Dirty Harry that they restored was actually scanned in 8K. And to be completely honest with you, after watching this and Pale Rider, I would not be surprised if those two films were also scanned in 8K. I really love the look of Pale Rider, but this was revelatory, and that is not a word that I use very often. This could possibly be one of the best 4Ks I have ever seen. And I'm not trying to, blow this out of the water. I'm not trying to overstate this. This is a masterpiece in film restoration. This film has never looked this good, and I said that about Pale Rider, and I'm going to say that about this one too. This movie shocked me. I watched this with a friend of mine who is a big fan of this movie and also grew up with it. He's also from Missouri, which is kind of hilarious that a lot of this movie takes place in Missouri. It shocked the two of us. It really shocked us because this is a movie that we watched on television. We both owned it on VHS. We had it on DVD. We had it on Blu-ray. Like, I've had this movie on basically every form of physical media since the days of VHS in the 90s. And no other version of this film has looked this incredible. It also helps that I'm watching it on a 4K OLED TV, and again, watching it with a surround sound system and everything. But this movie floored me, and I'm not flabbergasted by movies very often. Again, I'm lucky. I get to watch a lot of great movies here on the channel. But this one truly shocked me. It was impressive in every way. This is not in Dolby Vision. This is just HDR10. But the movie gets shockingly bright at times. And I mean very bright. Daylight looks like real daylight. If you were out in the sun, it is reproduced in a way that I have never seen. Colors in this are substantially better than they ever have been. The greens, the reds, everything is so beautifully vivid, and it's not saturated. It's a natural color, but it just jumps out at you. It really does look like real life. It is unbelievably amazing. I mentioned very high brights in this new transfer, but also there are some really incredible black levels on this, some of the best I've ever seen. There's a moment in the film where Clint, as Josey Wales, goes into this little trading post, and it's very dark in there, and the only light is coming in from these like wooden kind of sticks, I guess you could say. They're like almost in a grid pattern. Again, that's the incredible Bruce Surtees doing his magic in that scene. And the black levels are perfect. I mean, that scene alone was just unbelievable to look at. I'm running out of like descriptors here to talk about this movie because there's not a thing I could say as a negative about this transfer. Literally everything is spot on, phenomenal. I would even dare say perfect, honestly. Detail level is at a high that I do not normally witness on a 4K disc. It is beyond the beyond, where I've noticed things in this movie that I have never noticed before. Facial details, clothing details, shots of weapons and animals and little scorpions crawling on the ground. I mean, every little thing is detailed to the nth degree. It is just unbelievable. I have no words. It is hands down one of the best transfers of any film that I own. The picture quality is like an 11 out of 10 for this one. I can't say enough about it. It was absolutely incredible. As for the audio quality, that's where we step this up even higher. This goes up another notch. This has an all-new Dolby Atmos sound mix. For those of you that are not fond of Dolby Atmos, it does also have a DTS HD Master Audio stereo track, a 2.0, which I'm fairly certain is the original audio, the original theatrical audio. But the Dolby Atmos track on this is also absolutely incredible. Just like Pale Rider, this new audio track takes this film to another level. It completely makes this movie an immersive experience. Every sound effect perfectly placed. Every action sequence, you're right in the middle of the action. Dialogue is crystal clear. The music is everywhere. I mean, it just fills the room. It is shockingly outstanding. As in terms of the sound effects, I mean, there's a lot of action in this film. A lot of gunshots, a couple explosions, some fires. it is a lot going on in this movie, and this is kind of a very different case from Pale Rider, where there's action, but it's very, very sporadic. This has a lot of it in there, and it is just unbelievable. This is room-shakingly loud Atmos. At the levels that I have my system on normally, it was actually almost too loud. I actually had to turn this one down, which is not a thing that I have to do very often. It was very impressive. Every gunshot is just hard hitting. The low end bass is booming. Everything about it, again, just like the picture quality, how that wowed me. This kind of blew me through the back wall of my home theater. It was just, not to steal a line from the Die Hard ad campaign, but it really did. It actually almost knocked down some stuff on a wall in my living room. I can't make that up. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I loved the audio track on this. But if you're a purist and you're not big on Atmos sound, they do include that original stereo, and that one's just fine. But I have to say, if you have a surround sound system, the Atmos on this is a workout for your system. Highly, highly recommended. Now, as for the special features on here, there's actually some new stuff on here, which is really nice. There is actually 5 featurettes and a documentary included. One of which, one of the new ones is called An Outlaw and an Anti-Hero, which is kind of like a look at the Josey Wales character himself. Kind of goes into a little bit of the making of, but it's more of a reflection on the character itself, which I think is really nice to have. And then there's also another one called The Cinematography of an Outlaw Crafting Josey Wales. And much like the featurette that's on Pale Rider, talking about the cinematography, it goes into Bruce Surtees's work on the film, Clint Eastwood's direction, shot composition, things like that. It's a really cool little featurette. On top of that, there's some other older featurettes that have also been remastered, one of which is called Clint Eastwood's West, another one called Eastwood in Action, and another one called Hell Hath No Fury, The Making of Outlaw Josey Wales. Clint Eastwood, A Cinematic Legacy, Reinventing Westerns, which ironically is also on Pale Rider, so you get it on both discs. There is no standard Blu-ray in the set, all of which that I just discussed is all on the one 4K disc, and it does also come with a digital code. So I'm just going to keep this brief. This is an absolute must-buy. Pale Rider, I'd say, you know, again, was definitely up there as well. But this is kind of unbelievable. I'd say this and Sneakers are kind of the top 2 4K discs of the year that I've seen so far. I mean, they are. This is incredible work. I love the fact that, you know, it's a natural color. They kept the film grain in. There's no crazy DNR going on. It's just a masterful, masterful transfer in every way, shape, and form. The audio is just stupendous. And there's a bunch of new special features. So you just can't beat it. I can't recommend this highly enough. Get this 4K. I'll leave a link in the description below that goes to Amazon. If you use that link, it does help me out here on the channel. I don't make a ton of money from those links, but every little bit helps. If you really, really want to support the channel, the best way to do it is to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this review. Until next time, I want to say thank you so very much for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. I wish you guys all the very best. Please stay safe, keep collecting, and take it easy.